The silence in the hospital room was deafening as Michael Reynolds clutched his daughter's tiny hand. 6 words had changed everything that day in the elevator. 6 words had saved lives, including his own. But as he sat beside 8-year-old Lily's hospital bed, he wondered if those same words could save her too. Hey there, viewers. If you're enjoying this incredible true story of courage, hope, and unexpected heroes, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more content that will touch your heart and inspire your soul. Now, let's dive into this remarkable journey. 3 months earlier, Michael Reynolds rushed through the lobby of Pinnacle Tower, balancing a worn leather briefcase in one hand and a paper bag containing his daughter's forgotten lunch in the other. At 38, life had worn lines into his face that made him look older, especially when he was stressed, which was almost always these days. "Hold the elevator," he called, spotting the closing doors across the marble expanse. A hand shot out, catching the door at the last moment. Michael slipped inside, nodding gratefully to the owner of the hand, a tall man in an expensive charcoal suit. 2 other men stood at the back of the elevator, both wearing dark clothing and expressionless faces. "Thanks," Michael said, trying to catch his breath. "Floor 12, please." The man in the charcoal suit, whom Michael now recognized with a jolt as Cameron Ward, CEO of Pinnacle Enterprises, pressed the button for him. "Rough morning?" he asked with a small smile. "You could say that," Michael replied, adjusting his tie with his free hand. "Single dad life. My daughter forgot her lunch, and if I don't get it to her school in the next 30 minutes, she'll have to eat whatever mystery meat they're serving today." Ward chuckled. "I remember those days. My kids are grown now, but I don't miss the morning rush." The elevator began its ascent, numbers quietly illuminating on the display. That's when everything changed. One of the men at the back suddenly lunged forward, grabbing Ward by the collar and shoving him against the elevator wall. The second man pulled something from his jacket, the unmistakable glint of a knife blade catching the overhead lights. "You ruined us," the first man snarled, his face inches from Ward's. "You think you can just discard people like trash?" Ward's face had gone pale, his composure shattered. I don't know what you're talking about." The second man stepped forward. "Pinnacle Pharmaceuticals. Ring a bell? The drug that was supposed to be safe? My wife is dead because of you." Michael froze, his heart hammering against his ribs. The elevator continued its climb, passing the 4th floor, then the 5th. His daughter's lunch suddenly felt impossibly heavy in his hand. "The merger, the layoffs, the covered-up safety reports," the first man continued, tightening his grip on Ward's collar. "Did you think we wouldn't figure it out? Did you think we'd just disappear?" Michael's mind raced. The 2 men were positioned between him and the elevator panel. There was no emergency button he could reach. No way to call for help without escalating the situation. The second man raised the knife slightly. "You're going to feel what it's like to lose everything, just like we did." That's when Michael spoke, his voice steadier than he felt. 6 words. Just 6 simple words. "My daughter is waiting for me." All 3 men turned to look at him. Michael held up the lunch bag. "She's 8. Her name is Lily. She has leukemia." The elevator fell silent. The numbers continued to climb, 7, 8, 9. "She was diagnosed 6 months ago," Michael continued, his voice catching. "Every day is precious. Every single one. And right now, she's waiting for her lunch at school, probably worried that I forgot about her. I didn't. I would never forget her." The man with the knife blinked, his hand wavering slightly. "I don't know what happened with Pinnacle Pharmaceuticals," Michael said. "I don't know what you've lost. But I know what it's like to face losing everything. To be angry at a system that seems designed to crush you. To want someone to pay." The first man's grip on Ward's collar loosened slightly. "But this," Michael gestured at the scene before him, this isn't going to bring back what you lost. It's just going to take you away from whatever you have left. The elevator dinged as it reached the 10th floor. Please, Michael said quietly. Let him go. Not for his sake. For yours. For whoever is waiting for you to come home tonight. Something changed in the first man's eyes, a flicker of recognition, perhaps, or remembrance of what was at stake. He released Ward, stepping back. The second man lowered the knife, tucking it back into his jacket. No one spoke as the elevator reached the 12th floor. The doors slid open. Thank you, Michael said to the men as he stepped out. It wasn't clear whether he was thanking them for sparing Ward or for listening to him. Perhaps both. As the doors began to close, the man who had held the knife called out, I hope your daughter gets better. Michael nodded, a lump forming in his throat. I hope you find peace, he replied, just before the doors shut completely. Michael never expected to see Cameron Ward again. He delivered Lily's lunch, kissed her forehead, and went to his modest office at Nexus Solutions, where he worked as a mid-level project manager. The events in the elevator felt almost dreamlike by afternoon, overshadowed by his concerns about Lily's upcoming treatment cycle. But 2 days later, Ward's executive assistant called him. Mr. Ward would like to meet with you, she said. At your convenience, of course. Michael agreed, curious and slightly apprehensive. They arranged for him to visit Ward's office after work. The CEO's office occupied the entire top floor of Pinnacle Tower, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the city. Ward greeted him warmly, as if they were old friends rather than strangers who had shared a traumatic experience. I want to thank you properly, Ward said, gesturing for Michael to take a seat in a leather chair that probably cost more than his monthly rent. There's no need, Michael replied. I just said what came to mind. Ward studied him for a moment. You saved my life. Those men, the police identified them after reviewing security footage. Former employees of a pharmaceutical company we acquired 2 years ago. There was a drug, an experimental treatment for heart conditions. There were complications. Side effects that didn't appear in initial trials. Michael sat silently, listening. The truth is, Ward continued, I wasn't directly involved in the development or approval process. But as CEO, the responsibility falls to me. 12 people died before we pulled it from the market. Including one of those men's wife. Michael thought about Lily, about the experimental treatments they had considered for her condition. About the desperate hope that came with each new protocol, each new medication. I'm sorry, he said simply. Ward nodded, gazing out at the city skyline. I've been thinking a lot about what you said in that elevator. About every day being precious. About systems designed to crush people. He turned back to Michael. Tell me about your daughter. For the next hour, Michael talked about Lily, her infectious laugh, her love of dinosaurs and space, her resilience through treatments that would break most adults. He showed Ward pictures on his phone, Lily before her diagnosis with long, auburn hair, Lily now, thin and bald but still smiling. The medical bills must be substantial, Ward said eventually. Michael's smile faded. Insurance covers some, but, yes. I've taken out a second mortgage. Sold my car for a cheaper model. It's worth it, of course. For her. Ward leaned forward. I want to help. Pinnacle has a foundation for childhood cancer research. I'd like to ensure Lily gets whatever treatment she needs, regardless of cost. Michael stiffened. Mr. Ward, I didn't help you for money or... I know, Ward interrupted. That's precisely why I want to help. Not as payment, but because what you did, what you said, made me realize I've been missing opportunities to make a real difference. The foundation exists, the money is there, but it's been impersonal. Distant. Your daughter puts a face to it all. Michael hesitated, pride warring with practicality. Please, Ward said. Let me do this. Not just for Lily, but for those 12 families who lost someone to our mistake. Let something good come from all this. In the end, Michael agreed, not for himself, but for Lily. For her chance at a future. Over the following weeks, a strange friendship formed between the single father and the CEO. Ward arranged for Lily to receive treatment from top specialists, covering expenses that Michael's insurance denied. He visited her in the hospital, bringing books about dinosaurs and space that made her eyes light up. Michael discovered a different side to the corporate executive, a man who had started with nothing, built an empire, but somewhere along the way had lost sight of the human impact of his decisions. Ward, in turn, found in Michael a perspective he had been missing, a ground-level view of the world that his corner office had long obscured. The men who had threatened Ward in the elevator were identified as Thomas Harlow and James Mendez. Rather than pressing charges, Ward reached out to them, offering a settlement for the families affected by the failed drug, along with a public acknowledgement of the company's failures in the testing process. It wasn't justice, not really, but it was a start toward accountability. 1 month after the elevator incident, Michael received devastating news: Lily's cancer had become resistant to her current treatment protocol. Her doctors recommended a clinical trial taking place in Boston, experimental, uncertain, and their best hope. When Michael told Ward, the CEO didn't hesitate. "I'll have the corporate jet ready tomorrow. We'll fly her to Boston. I know the chief of oncology at Mass General, we went to college together. I'll call him tonight." Michael shook his head, overwhelmed. "Why are you doing all this?" Ward was silent for a moment. "Do you know what I was thinking about in that elevator, when those men had me against the wall? I wasn't thinking about my family. I wasn't thinking about all the good I could still do in the world. I was thinking about stock prices and quarterly reports. About my legacy as measured in dollars and acquisitions." He looked at Michael. "You reminded me that there are more important metrics. Those 6 words you said, they weren't just about your daughter. They were about what matters." The Boston treatment was grueling. Lily's small body fought the aggressive protocol, her strength fading with each passing day. Michael took a leave of absence from work, staying by her side day and night. Ward arranged for an apartment near the hospital and checked in regularly, sometimes flying up for the weekend just to sit with them. 3 months after the elevator incident, Lily coded during a particularly difficult night. Michael watched in helpless terror as doctors rushed to revive her, the minutes stretching into an eternity until finally, mercifully, her heartbeat stabilized. That was the night he found himself alone in her hospital room, clutching her hand while she slept, wondering if those 6 words that had saved lives could save hers too. "My daughter is waiting for me," he whispered, tears streaming down his face. "Please don't take her. Please." He didn't hear Ward enter, didn't notice him until he felt a hand on his shoulder. "The doctors say the latest scans show the treatment is working," Ward said quietly. "The cancer cells are responding. She's fighting, Michael." Michael looked up, hope and fear warring in his expression. "She's all I have." Ward squeezed his shoulder. "No. Not anymore." 6 months after the elevator incident, Lily Reynolds was declared in remission. Her hair was beginning to grow back, a soft fuzz covering her head that she proudly showed off to anyone who would look. Her energy returned in bursts, like a flickering light growing steadier by the day. Ward had used the experience to transform Pinnacle Enterprises. The company established a more rigorous safety protocol for all acquisitions, particularly in healthcare. He created a victims fund for those affected by the failed heart medication. Most surprisingly to industry observers, he restructured the company's charitable foundation, focusing it specifically on accessible healthcare initiatives and childhood cancer research. Thomas Harlow, one of the men from the elevator, eventually accepted Ward's offer to join the patient advocacy board that now reviewed all of Pinnacle's pharmaceutical products before market. His experience as both a victim and almost perpetrator gave him a unique perspective that proved invaluable. As for Michael, he returned to work, but not to his old position. Ward offered him the role of heading the restructured foundation, believing that someone who understood the human cost of healthcare failures was exactly who should be directing their charitable efforts. On the one-year anniversary of the elevator incident, Michael, Lily, and Ward gathered at a small park near the hospital where Lily had received her initial treatment. She ran ahead of them, chasing pigeons with the boundless energy of a child who had stared down mortality and emerged victorious. 6 words, Ward mused, watching her. Who would have thought? Michael smiled. Sometimes that's all it takes. The right words at the right moment. You know, Ward said, I've been thinking about those men a lot lately. About what drove them to that point. They felt invisible, like their pain didn't matter to the system that caused it. Michael nodded. Most people do, in one way or another. Feel invisible, I mean. That's changing, though. At Pinnacle, at least. Ward watched as Lily successfully scattered a group of pigeons, her laughter carrying across the park. Your daughter has quite the future ahead of her. Thanks to you, Michael said. Ward shook his head. No. Thanks to 6 words that reminded me what matters. Thanks to a father who was brave enough to speak truth in a moment of crisis. As they walked through the park, Michael reflected on how quickly life could change, how a routine morning, a forgotten lunch, and an elevator ride had altered the course of so many lives. How 6 simple words had rippled outward, creating change that neither he nor Ward could have imagined. My daughter is waiting for me, he had said. And now, because of those words, because of the courage to speak them and the wisdom to hear them, she would continue waiting for him for many years to come. Not in a hospital room, but out in the world, living the full life she deserved. Lily sprinted back to them, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Dad! Uncle Cam! Did you see how far I ran? Did you see? We saw, Michael said, scooping her up despite her protests that she was too big now. You were amazing, Ward agreed, his formal business demeanor nowhere in sight. As they walked back toward the car, Lily riding on her father's shoulders, she asked the question that had been on her mind for months. Dad, what were the 6 words? The ones everyone keeps talking about? Michael and Ward exchanged glances. The most important 6 words in the world, Michael told her, reaching up to hold her hands. The words that remind us what matters most. My daughter is waiting for me, Ward said quietly. Lily considered this, her face scrunched in concentration. That's a good 6 words, she finally declared. But I have 6 better ones. Oh? Michael asked. What are they? Lily leaned down, her mouth close to her father's ear but her voice loud enough for Ward to hear. I will always love you, Dad. 6 words. Different words. But just as powerful, just as true, and just as capable of changing everything. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue to share these powerful stories of hope, courage, and the human connection that binds us all. Remember, sometimes the simplest words can have the most profound impact, on ourselves, on others, and on the world around us.